Let's take you on a time jump, virtual zoom, bringing it back to Theodore's bedroom. These hands are passionately polysyllabic, putting the Jeopardy theme on swings. 10 dons giving predictions, balancing vibes like the sons and daughters of Ipwan. Ear to the ear to the underground, flicking off peppermint, fresh experiment. Let's go. El Premier Elemento, you gotta take your time, press your fingers to the line. Red man, focus your mind. And once you do that, you're at the front of the combine.
Hey everyone, my name is Max Gibbons. Welcome to the first street art class of this summer that I'm hosting. We'll be hosting these classes Wednesdays for 5 more weeks, so thanks for tuning in. Obviously, these classes are going to be virtual. I'm presenting to you live from my apartment in Brooklyn, New York. I did spend about 7 years of my life living and working in Washington, D.C., doing graffiti and street art for about 15 years at this point, and I will be your host. I'll be your teacher for this class. Please feel free to hop on camera or pop into the chat any questions or comments as I'm presenting. I really want to try to make this class as interactive as we can, even though it is going to be virtual. I'm going to go through some overview of what we're going to be covering in the next couple weeks, an overview of what we're going to be covering today, and a little bit of background about myself, and hopefully get to know some of you as we continue in the class this session. So once again, thanks for joining. We've got about an hour today. So each class, each Wednesday will be from 5 to 6. And, I'm excited to get to know all of you. Please, once again, feel free to, introduce yourself in the chat if you feel comfortable. Let me know where you're at, why you're interested in joining. We're going to be trying to make this as interactive as possible, and I'm actually going to be sharing my screen for the introduction of today's class before we get into some of the tips and tricks and some of the actual art making that we'll be doing in the street art class. So I'm going to share my screen. Also, if you hear me, excuse me, coughing at all, I am recovering from a cold that I caught over the weekend. So hopefully I don't cough too much. I do have a glass of water here. You might see my cat jump into the screen too, my feline companion. She loves to hop on to Zoom calls. All right, so here is my screen. So hopefully everybody can see this. Welcome to the first street art class. I'm going to get into this in a second, but our topic of focus for these next 5 weeks is going to be specifically on stickers and their use by artists who are graffiti artists or street artists. So in this class, we'll be talking about how you can make your own art, supplies, tips, tricks, and ideas around how you want to create art on adhesive labels. You could put it out in the streets, you could trade them with friends, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. All right, so overview of the class. Today, like I said, introduction. I'm going to be throwing a lot of terms at you. Maybe you're familiar with the street art world, maybe you're brand new. Once again, lots of students from all different ages and locations and art history backgrounds. So we're going to be hitting the ground running, throwing a lot at you, and kind of diving into this awesome world of street art. The second week, we're going to be focusing specifically on the use of postal labels in street art and sticker graffiti. A lot of street artists and graffiti writers use stickers that they get for free from the United States Postal Service or DHL or UPS. They're not supposed to be used for anything other than mailing packages, but these free adhesive labels have become a type of canvas for a lot of artists. So we'll be talking about that, how to customize them, and how a lot of different artists use them in their art form. Week 3, we're going to talk specifically about characters. So creating a character of your own. Maybe it's a character that you draw in your notebooks and in school, or maybe it's something you've been working on for a long time. A character is a visual representation of the artist's moniker. So if you're familiar with artists like Shepard Fairey, his character is the Obey Giant. If you're familiar with KAWS, his is this skull with crossbones and the X's on the hands and the eyes. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. There's a lot of ways that you can use stickers to put your artwork out there. You can do, graffiti writers do tags on them. Some people use characters, some people write poetry. There's a million different ways for you to really express your art in this medium. Week 4, we'll be talking about collaborations and sticker trading. Something that I really love about stickers as a medium and their use in the graffiti and street art world is that they're almost like baseball cards, right? You can trade them with other artists. You can go online and find these communities, whether it's on Instagram or Reddit or Flickr or other websites, where you can be in one city and you can mail your stickers to someone else in another city where you've never been, and they will put your stickers up for you. So now you're getting notoriety, you're getting out, you're getting up, and somewhere else. Or you can just collect them. And depending on the artist, your own use of stickers, or whoever you're talking to or trading with, maybe they're mass printed, so they're all the same. Maybe they're hand done, so each one is different. It's a really cool and unique aspect of this culture, which I want to talk about in that week. And actually, the last slide shows a collaboration. So these are 4 different artists who they traded the stickers from one artist to the other through the mail, and they all agreed to use the same color scheme. And then, all these artists have collaborated together, which I think is kind of neat. And then obviously the last week of our class together, week 5, we'll be wrapping up everything that we learned in these lessons, and then preparing your portfolios as artists and members of the Wordspeed Life community, and then also preparing to show your artwork, maybe trade stickers with each other in this class, maybe work on collaborations together, something along those lines. So with that, if there's any questions, please remember to put them in the chat, and we'll continue. So the goals of this class, and I've kind of been alluding to before, and as I've been speaking, are to really understand and analyze works of street art and graffiti. So to learn about them, to respect them, and to have an opinion about the art that you're going to be seeing, and figure out the words and the language on how to vocalize your opinions, and then also make your own art as well. That's extremely important too, not just to be passively engaging with this subculture and the culture of street art and graffiti, but also make your own art, whether that's in your sketchbook or on stickers or actually out on the streets, in a legal and safe way. That is something that I want to clarify as we're going into the class as well. We're going to be talking about a lot of artists and a lot of types of art in this class that can be considered illegal, can get you in trouble if you do it without permission. So please remember that when we're going through the lessons in this class, if you're going to be creating street art or any type of use of the materials or the techniques that we're learning in class, always get permission from a property owner. You can make a wall if you have a backyard out of plywood. You can paint in your basement. You can always sketch on paper in your sketchbooks. So that's some caveat that I want to put out there. I don't want anybody getting in trouble because even though stickers are one of the less destructive forms of street art or graffiti, they are still technically illegal. You can still get in trouble occasionally. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But anyway, goal of the class is for really to learn about this and to find your style. So stickers are just a piece of paper with an adhesive backing. You could put anything on there. You could do a character. You could draw tags and letters. You could do an image. You could write poetry, like I was saying. You could do abstract watercolors. Anything that you can do on that piece of paper can then be posted in the streets. So really finding your style, looking at other artists, looking at the way that they've done their artwork, and maybe being inspired to step outside your comfort zone, try something new. Obviously, it's important to understand the social and cultural influences of street art and graffiti. Street art and graffiti, as we know it, have been around for almost 60 years. And I do see a comment coming in from someone. How did you find your style? I will go into that in a minute as I introduce myself as well. So thank you for that comment. It takes time. You have to be, like anything, you need to practice, obviously. But I've been doing graffiti and street art now for a little over, I guess 15 years almost. I started really being interested in the art form growing up in New York when I was riding the train into the city when I was around 14 or 15. And growing up in the suburbs, I didn't really know anybody else that was interested in it. So I learned a lot from the internet, which is a relatively new way for people to learn about graffiti. Usually there's a mentorship where you meet somebody who's a little bit older than you and they kind of walk you through the ropes, which I did as well. But at first it was going on the internet, learning, and now people go on Instagram, but there is still a lot of that mentorship. And that's kind of getting to the last bullet point at the bottom, is really building that community, right? So even though we're virtual, even though we're not in the same room communicating and, giving each other markers or swapping pieces of paper with sketches, we do want to try to create that community. So one of my goals for this class is, even though we're maybe remote, maybe, I draw on a sticker and I send it to one of you, and then you add your character, or you add your design or your tag or something, and we send it to another student, and it kind of goes around during these 5 weeks. So if you're interested in that, I would love to do something like that. Additionally, we're going to be trying to take some of the designs that you create and you add to your portfolios and actually get them printed on stickers. I do have a soft spot in my heart for hand-done stickers, but there is something really cool about taking your image and mass producing it. So that's one of the goals of this class as well. The breakdown of the class, it's going to be a little bit different this week because I'm doing the intro. Usually we'll do a ritual, some kind of groundbreaking, welcome to the class, introduce yourselves, level setting. We all have a lot of things going on. It's the summer. It might be camp or school or work or anything. I love that, like a telephone sticker chain. Yeah. So that'll be our grounding, getting ready for the class. I'll do a teaching lesson, talking to slides as I'm doing now. And then we'll have 20 minutes of actually doing. So you drawing, I'll be sharing a camera angle of my hands and showing different techniques. And then portfolio time, where you're then taking pictures of your work, maybe sending them to me, or uploading them to an email address that I'll provide you for some of our teaching assistants, where they can add them to your portfolio. And then that exiting ritual, saying goodbye, maybe any tips or tricks, me recommending a video or sending out a link. I'll also make available to any students who are interested a Teams channel. It's an application that you can get either in your browser, like where you're watching me right now, or it's an application that you get on your phone or your computer. But it's essentially like a messaging platform where I've added a ton of resources if you're interested in learning outside of the class as well. So, oh, and you can see right there, and we'll put that maybe in the chat as well. That is the email you'll send your photographs of your work to. As long as there's been graffiti, people have been making marks on surfaces, right? They leave their name, they leave a Max was here, something along those lines. This slide is just to show you that graffiti writers are creators. It's a very DIY, do-it-yourself mentality. All of these might look a little rudimentary, right? This is a shoe polish bottle. This is, a deodorant stick, whatever it might be. But these are homemade markers. So nowadays you can go to the store and you can buy, for $5, $10, $2, really high quality markers that are even marketed as graffiti markers, right? I have some here. I have a, let's see, Posca marker, right? These are really good paint markers that you can get. There's brands like Montana or Molotov, or even Liquitex has markers that are designed for graffiti purposes or graffiti art or street art. These markers were created by people who wanted to put ink into other receptacles, right? And something we're going to be talking about a lot in this class is taking something that exists for a certain purpose, the sticker, for example, a mail sticker, and repurposing it, right? So that shoe polish bottle wasn't supposed to become a marker. This sticker wasn't supposed to become a canvas. But we are artists, and we're going to make use of the materials that we have, and we're going to remix them the same way that a DJ takes a beat and remixes it and makes it their own. Once again, the focus of this class is going to be stickers. This is a photograph of the DC Sticker Expo. It is still currently running, so if you're in the DMV area and you're interested in seeing this exhibit in person, there is a art gallery in the Eastern Market area called The Fridge. You can go onto their website. You can also find them on Instagram. And usually every year, they've, at least for I think 5 or 6 years now, they've hosted the world's largest exhibition of sticker art. So thousands and thousands of sticker artists from all over the world send their stickers to the gallery, and they cover all of the walls, the ceiling, everything. So you can walk around and be inspired by all these incredible artists from all around the world who use stickers as their medium. So I wanted to share this. There is a community out there. Lots of people do stickers. It's a very easy way to get your art onto the streets. And it's a lot safer usually. It's quicker, and we'll get into that in a little bit as well. Again, we're going to be focused on stickers. I'm just going to be showing a couple examples here. These are, like I was saying, priority mail labels that you might see at the post office. I really like this one because the artist cut the sticker and then used markers and their artwork here to make it look like their character has broken away the label. Really cool use there. I'm also showing you these examples again because the sticker itself is a blank canvas for you as an artist. So this artist used it like this. This artist on our bottom right here used a stamp to mass produce their image of that bunny rabbit. This artist on the top did a tag, right? In the chat, let's see, are marketed graffiti markers non-toxic? If not, what are ways that we can safely create during the workshop? Yes, so like a lot of paint, they do have, depending on the marker that you're using, whether it's oil-based, acrylic-based, or ink-based. So there are different types of materials that you can use. If you actually look at this bigger sticker right here, I believe that this artist used a paint marker, and this artist on the right used a ink marker. So there are differences. I know some of the markers that last longer have a chemical called xylene, which is not great to breathe in. So if you are going to use these materials, if you're using paint, if you're using markers, please do so in a well-ventilated space. That is a great point. What I love about stickers is the ability to create them at home. So when graffiti writers and street artists are out on the street, they're putting their artwork out there, obviously illegally or illicitly, and there is that threat of getting caught. So the longer you take to make your artwork, the longer you have to be seen or get in trouble or something along those lines. And with stickers, you can take as long as you want at home. So this artist had all the time in the world to make their sticker, right? This artist had all the time at home to figure out the way that they wanted to make those lines in their tag. And then it takes a millisecond for you to peel it from the back and put it up and walk away. So that's something to think about as you're creating your artwork at home, obviously using your materials in a well-ventilated space, but taking your time, really, thinking about the artwork that you're going to be putting out there. If it is that quote unquote low level application, put stuff that you are proud of, that you really put your work into. So a little bit about me. Like I said before, I'll be introducing, and this was one of the comments that we got in the chat. My name is Max Gibbons. I've been doing graffiti and street art for about 15 years, and I mostly focus now on calligraffiti. So calligraffiti is a term that was coined by Neil Shu Muehlman. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's an artist from Europe who is a calligrapher and a graffiti writer. So he was tagging, his graffiti name is Shu, and he coined the term a few years ago. It's been used by other artists as well, but it's a combination of traditional calligraphy styles and the street aesthetic of tagging and graffiti. So I combined the two to make murals. I thank you for that in the chat. I usually make a pattern and then I fill in that pattern with the calligraphy that actually does say words, poems, song lyrics, names of friends, names of crewmates, whatever that might be. This is a mural that I did in New York. So I mapped it out with some string and some tape, and I tried to fill in the design with some abstract calligraphy strokes in the background and then kind of fill it in. This is all text-based, and that's why it's rooted in graffiti. Graffiti is often considered to be based around lettering, when street art is often more based on imagery, but there is some nuance there as well. We're going to get into that in this class. I also always carry markers with me. I don't do any illegal graffiti. Graffiti is obviously inherently illegal, or else it would be graffiti art. There is some nuance and terminology there, and we'll get into that as well. But I still love to put art on the streets, and I don't want to get caught for it, right? I don't want to get in trouble. So I do calligraphy on discarded objects. So these, that refrigerator was going to get thrown out, so I wrote on it. That TV, that music case, etc. Occasionally I've done artwork on frames or mirrors and things, and I'll come back 20 minutes later and someone has taken it, and then they send me a picture of it like hanging in their apartment, which I think is really cool. Or it gets thrown out, so I kind of like that. All graffiti and street art is ephemeral in nature. It will go away. If you don't have permission to paint on someone's wall, the owner might paint over it the next day, so your artwork is gone in 24 hours, or it can last for 20 years. It all really depends on that democratic nature of the streets, in which another graffiti artist could come and write over it too, or they could write next to it and respect your artwork. So it's always changing. And the way that I do graffiti or street art on discarded objects makes it a little bit even more ephemeral in nature. So something to think about as well. If you're able and willing, I wanted to take this time after introducing myself to allow you, those joining in, if you feel comfortable, to introduce yourself to me as well. If you're able to come on mic or on video, that'd be great. If not, you do have the option to use the chat function. You could do a private chat to me, or we can do the way that where it pops up. But feel free to take the next couple minutes to chat. I think chatting is the way that you can interact with me. I'll go silent for a minute. But think about, why did you sign up for this course? What inspired you to have an interest in street art? Or is this the first time that you're learning about street art? I'd love to get a feel for, what you're bringing to the class and why you're here. So I'll just go silent for a second. Okay. Thanks. Okay, so I will continue, but if you feel able to do the chat, that'd be great. If not, I will continue. But thanks again for joining. I can see a couple people are writing in. Olivia, classical oil painter. All right, so that's really cool. Something I've seen are a lot of artists doing their work on paper. Oil is a fickle medium, as you know, and it might not hold up to the elements necessarily, but you can do that on a sticker, put it out there. You can also do it on wheat paste and put it out there, but it's a cool way to get your artwork out of the studio and into the streets. With that said, though, some overview of terms that we'll be going over in class. So if you're not as familiar with the street art world, a tag is that quick signature, letter-based, obviously. This is a tag done with spray paint. So it's the name of someone, their moniker that they've given themselves or they've gotten from a friend, that they write out in public, that they go by. A throw up, or sometimes called a fill, is the bubble letters you might see on streets, a little bit larger. They're quickly done oftentimes, and you kind of use your entire body almost acrobatically to a certain extent to make your letters. You're using full arm strokes of your spray paint can. You might be doing it with a marker in a smaller way, but it's kind of the bubbly letters of your name. And then a fill in is when you do, the outline, let's say in like a white paint, and then you fill it in with white, and then you go over it with another color like red. So now it has that contrast. So there's two colors. And a piece is a masterpiece, right? This is your large, complicated, might take a longer amount of time, might take a lot of colors, artwork that you're creating. So those are just some terms that we'll be familiarized with, and I will continue with some examples soon. Additionally, some terms that the community uses, you might hear people say, oh yeah, bombing, right? Or sticker bombing. That means you are getting up a lot, and getting up means putting your artwork out there into the streets. So bombing is putting your name on the streets, whether it's by stickers or markers or spray paint or wheat pasting or roller paint or whatever that might be. Bombing is destroying an area, right? You're getting out there. You're saturating an area with your artwork, whether that's street art or graffiti. A writer is someone who identifies as someone who's creating graffiti. So a graffiti writer is a graffiti, someone who's making graffiti. There are some differences. Some people might say, oh, I'm a graffiti writer, I'm not a graffiti artist. It really depends on the individual. But for our purposes, a writer is someone who is practicing and creating graffiti art. A street artist would not consider themselves oftentimes to be a graffiti writer. There is some nuances there. For our purposes, again, this is more of a graffiti term, but a straight letter is easy to read letters, and slaps for our purposes are going to be stickers. Stickers like something you'll find at the post office, something like a hello, my name is sticker with a tag or a character drawn onto it. All right, so just some examples from the things that I was just talking about. These are tags. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I have the other camera set up just in case for the second portion of this class. So these are tags. This one I really like. It's hard to read. Oftentimes, the only people that can read graffiti tags are other graffiti writers, and oftentimes the police that are trying to catch the graffiti writers. So something interesting there. But this is Optimist. I really like this. It's very unique. There's a really big O, and then there's a P, and then the rest of the letters here, you can see a stylized S, and then a T with that kind of top spiraling up here. And then talking about repetition, right? Graffiti and street art is getting your name out there and being recognized. So this writer, Chino, wrote his name multiple times here on the inside of this train. For our purposes, and these are tags that are done on stickers, but stickers and slaps are, once again, any adhesive sticker that is then applied outdoors. So this is KA and MTK. I really like the way that they did their kind of like snow effect on the stickers. And then this is a writer that goes by the name Snowman with a really stylized S, lowercase n, O-E-M-A-N. So you can see the total differences. These are both tags on stickers, but these, yeah, thank you. Yeah, reading the tags and reading stuff like this takes a long time. But once you kind of get to know an artist's style as well, you can just recognize it, or you just have a lot of practice. And then you can see this is like an M, a lowercase t, and then a K right here. But once again, tags on stickers, but totally different with the application of either using a bullet tipped, a round tipped marker compared to a chisel tipped marker, doing just the tag instead of doing more embellishments like adding snow and icicles. So once again, we're trying to think about how you can really make this blank canvas of a sticker your own art form. More sticker examples, and these are all examples of traditional graffiti styles on stickers. But the ones on the left here, you can see this would be a throw, which would often be done with spray paint on the streets, but this artist has done it on the sticker. And then these are tags. And these are stickers from the artist Faust. I really like this style, and he was one of the artists that I saw when I was younger, learning about stickers and learning about calligraphy as well. You can see the way that the artist has used the United States postal labels. And the unique thing that I like about these are that the artist has actually turned the label upside down. So it makes it harder for your eye to view or to read that priority mail language. And you're focusing more on the letters that the artist has chosen to write on the sticker. I think that's very unique. It's a deliberate choice by the artist. And these stickers are used by a lot of graffiti writers, one, because they're free, but two, because they have a lot of that space for you to write your name. And they're kind of framed by this the border. So you've got like this red line underneath that kind of grounds the sticker towards the bottom, makes your eye kind of go up to this white space where the artist has chosen to write their name. You can see on this one, the artist has chosen to do like bubbles around their name, and it might be a little hard to read, but you can kind of see, the way that they've chosen in each one of these tags. It's the same word, but it's a little bit different in the application. Examples of some of those throw ups, right? Those bubble letters that we're talking about. These are obviously on walls and trains, but just wanted to make you more familiar. Also, welcome to folks that are just joining in. I see a couple more people have joined the class. We're about halfway through, but feel free to stick around. I'm doing an introduction to some of the terms we're going to be going over and using during this this session over not just today, but also the next couple weeks. Right now, we're going over some of the terms that people in the community use, street artists and graffiti writers. But my name is Max Gibbons. I'll be teaching this class over the next 5 weeks. I am a street artist and graffiti writer by trade. I've been doing this art for about 15 years, and I'm located in Brooklyn, New York. Been teaching with Words, Beats, and Life for around 5-6 years now, on and off, and I'm happy to be here with you all this summer. So once again, these are bubble letters. These are fills. You can see this one here says seen. You can kind of read that a little bit more. This is a very stylized K from a writer who went by the name Korn. You can kind of see the K shape with the extended leg of this big, bubble coming off. Really love the eyes that they put into the K. It gives it kind of like a face. The K almost has this smile to it. Really enjoy that. And here's some other throw-ups or fill-ins, right? So once again, big bubbly letters. You could make it as simple as you want by just doing letters, like this one in the blue on the right-hand side. Or this one that I really love showing is by a West Coast graffiti writer named Giraffa. So this is a G-I-R-A-F-A. So the G actually becomes the nose of this giraffe character, and the I becomes the teeth, which I think is really unique and really cool. And then obviously the color choice is extremely deliberate here. The yellow of a giraffe with the black outline. So part of this class will be thinking about the graffiti name or the moniker or the nickname that you want to come up with, thinking about how you're going to write that, whether it's a tag or, thank you, Serena, bubble letters, whatever. We're working through that. And then also maybe finding a character to draw that goes along with your name. So this graffiti writer has chosen their name and then also the character of the giraffe, which I think is really cool. Again, these are those straight letters that I was talking about, but this writer, Kuma, has the same letters in each of these pictures. You can see the K-U-M-A, but each time that they were done a little bit differently. So you can see it's the same A, the same M, the same U, and the same K, even the same way that they're drawn, but adding a little bit of uniqueness to each one. So in this one, the arms has a sword and it has a little hat on. In this one, it's only 2 colors, but it's amazing what you could do with 2 colors of spray paint, where it's kind of pulling back the skin to see, the inside shadow. And then this one, just the arm coming out with the cord going in between the letters. So once again, thinking about what you're going to be drawing on the stickers, break the mold. Think about making, totally new things that you want to try. Really experiment as best as you can and as you feel comfortable doing. Oh, great. Yeah. And I see Olivia coming on the chat saying that seeing, things on train cars. So graffiti doesn't have to be located in the streets or an urban environment. And I think that's something that's extremely unique. And even in this picture, you can see this is in the woods somewhere, right? But graffiti is everywhere if you keep your eyes out. Artists are always creating artwork and putting their selves out there. And trains are an incredible way for you to see different artists. Some people do huge, really colorful murals like the one that I'm showing you, this piece, right? Others do very small tags called monikers that are often character-based, which actually date back to like train hopping days of hobos during the Great Depression. So it's an art form that's been around for almost over 100 years. That's something I love talking about as well. Graffiti is not just found in urban environments. It can be found on trains going all across the country. And freight train graffiti is extremely unique as well because you can paint a train in one location and it can travel far out of your state or your hometown or anything, bringing your artwork all the way somewhere else where somebody 1,000 miles away can see it, which is really, really unique. So again, this is just an example of a piece, right? A masterpiece, as they're called. Lots of colors, lots of time went into this, lots of detail, as you can see. And pieces, I should have had a picture on a train as an example, but they can be found on walls, trains, box trucks, you name it. This is a really cool one by a writer named Journeys. I really like the colors used in both of these pieces. I think it's extremely important to find your own style, but you can also look to the way that other people have been building on this art form for almost 60 years as well. So again, what is graffiti? As we talk about street art more specifically in this class, graffiti is the unofficial and unsanctioned application of any medium to a surface that you don't own. So that could be a pencil mark, on a bus. It could be a sticker applied to a stop sign. It could be a, fire extinguisher filled with paint sprayed 20 feet tall, giant letters on the side of a highway. It could be any one of those things, spray paint, markers, etc. But it is the lack of permission when you're creating your artwork or your mark on property that is not yours. So for the purposes of our class, we're going to be focusing on street art. So street art is artwork that is displayed in public. So there's more of a focus on usually the image than the word or the phrase, like a graffiti writer's name. Once again, on any publicly viewed surface, it could be a political statement, it could be a personal statement, but it has kind of moved away from just vandalism for vandalism's sake. Maybe the graffiti writer who's out just to go bombing, right, and put their name out there, but maybe bring beauty to an audience that would maybe look at a tag and not really respect that, right? For me, I love seeing all of it. I love seeing the smallest tag to the biggest piece, to street art made from, you know, a wheat paste or a sticker or a mural, or even, you know, someone who's used yarn or an installation to put their artwork on the street. And I see someone else saying, I love street art, it's amazing. Yeah. So, you know, obviously, you know, artists are putting themselves out there. It could be there for an hour, it could be there for 10 years. But I really think, for the purpose of our class, thinking about characters, image-based artwork, things along those lines are a good way for the general public to look at your art and maybe leave it up and not peel your sticker down. Stickers are usually less offensive to a certain degree than like a tag with spray paint or marker, because it is less intrusive, it is less damaging. So something to think about as you're thinking about the mediums that you want to use, and also the messages or the word choice for your nickname that you want to make. So again, it's extremely difficult to really categorize graffiti and street art. There's a lot of nuance. Some graffiti writers will use street art tactics. Some street artists are graffiti writers, right? It really varies. So there's a lot of different elements, but for the purposes of our class, we're going to be talking a lot about the reproduction, right? So you have an image, you have a character, you have a name, and you're repeating it. You're always changing, you're kind of building on it, but there's that essence of the one thing that you're going to be doing. And then, of course, street art belongs in the streets. And it usually has less of a focus, like I was saying, on the lettering than it does on the imagery. This is a really cool example. This is a graffiti writer from Bushwick who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, who wrote Zexer from the WTO crew. And in this picture, Zexer has done a fill, a graffiti throw up, right, or a fill in over a piece of street art. So that gets to the conversations that I was talking about. So even if these two artists never met each other, they're having a conversation on the street. Maybe the street artist had permission to paint that wall and the graffiti writer didn't. Maybe they both didn't have permission, but the ability to put your artwork on the streets and have it either live there for a long time or interact with others, not just the regular passerby who's looking at it, maybe while walking their dog or going to work, but also interacting with other street artists and other graffiti writers who have the choice, just as you did, to put your artwork out there, of either respecting the thing that you put out there, the sticker, the painting, whatever it might be, or going over it, or embellishing it, or creating it. You know, so there's always that change, that ephemeral nature of the artwork that you're putting out there. It will not last forever. And in this case, that mural was painted over by a graffiti writer who didn't like the mural and said, you know, the real Bushwick on the side, which I think is a really unique thing to write over this mural by an artist who maybe isn't from the neighborhood, or maybe they are, but the graffiti writer can consider their artwork to be the real essence of the area. So always consider that too. I love that about graffiti and street art, the kind of the clash that's always happening, and the internal drive from other artists pushing each other to either keep creating and be competitive and put your artwork out there and find places to make your artwork. And again, street art belongs on the street. So when I talk about doing graffiti on stickers or in a sketchbook or something like, you know, that's graffiti art. You're doing the art part, but inherently graffiti art and street art has its roots in the illicit production or promotion of the artwork. So a lot of artists do graffiti art legally, or they do publicly approved murals. And I love that. I think that's important. But a lot of street artists, a lot of the artists that we're going to be learning about in this class, do their artwork without permission. So that is something to consider and something to be aware of. Obviously, like I've said earlier at the beginning of this class, I do not encourage any of you to go out and put your artwork or your stickers or your paint or your markers onto property that is not yours or that you do not have permission to paint. but a lot of these artists do, and they know the full risks that they are taking when they do so. So even though a sticker is a lot less invasive and a lot easier to remove than, you know, spray paint, it is still not suggested or, you know, recommended that you go out and put your things on property that is not yours. So with that, that brings us to the end of our presentation, our part of talking through the slide deck. These stickers that I have up are by an artist named Katsu. Once again, I wanted to talk about the repetition of images, right? So this artist uses a single lined skull as their image. So even though there is no word here, I know, as someone who's seen this before, that the artist that put these stickers up is Katsu. So you can see, if we zoom in a little bit on this picture, the artist uses a marker on a priority mail sticker that they got from the post office. And they start here, if you can see my cursor, and they go up and they go this way, and they make kind of like an ear shape. And then they go above here, and then they make an eyeball, and they go down, and they do the line for the bottom of the jaw, and then they go up, and then they make the second eyeball, and then they go down, and then they make the teeth. So it's one line when they put the marker onto the paper, and then did their, you know, their moniker, their image, right? And they never took their pen or their marker off of the sticker. But they've done this, you know, thousands and thousands of times. They can reproduce it almost identically across these different stickers. I would love now to actually pivot to showing you my hands. So I'm going to try to do that. And yes, so Andy's saying at first I didn't recognize it was a skull. Very impressive. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? So a lot of people may pass this day to day and not notice it, or they may not see it. But for the people in the community, you know, that's their image, and then you start to see it everywhere. So I'm going to pivot to trying to show my hands. I know we've got about 20 minutes for you to pose questions and for me to start drawing, and we're going to talk through some other things. All right, let's see. All right, that's working. Additionally, so I did want to show, I showed the Katsu skull. A lot of street artists and graffiti writers use skulls as their images. So as you're thinking about characters and what you want to create, I'll show you 3 other artists who also use skulls as their images. And let's see, you know what, let me see if I can adjust the camera. So just give me 1 second while I do this. Okay, that's better. Okay, so these are 3 other artists that also use skull images, but you can see they're totally different from each other. This is Rock and Bones on the left, DC-based street artist. You can see he does the skull, kind of like a cartoony look with the crossed bones. This is Kanor, who's based in Brooklyn. You know, a little bit more detailed, if you will. You can see the sticker. All 3 of these stickers are printed, so they were drawn at one point, and the artist chose to reproduce them. And this is Matt Siren, who's another New York-based artist. So once again, totally different than each other. And I am right-handed. Sorry, I'm just using this to point. Yeah, so these are just some examples of printed stickers that I wanted to share. So thinking about other images that are mass produced, you know, a lot of street artists, they either have the name that they're using or the image. One that you may have seen before is this one, which is Shepard Fairey, who goes by the street art name Obey. So this is an Andre the Giant sticker, which is mass produced and then actually you know, pasted in various medium all over the world. Shepard did something that was really unique in the time in the 90s and 2000s, where he would mail people the stickers. Once again, like I was saying, those sticker trades all around the world. So people would put this image up for him all over in places that he's never even been to before. He had a story once where he was driving in a desert somewhere and saw a utility pole all the way out in the desert holding some electrical wires. He pulled over and he ran, you know, 30 or 40 feet over to the electrical pole to put a sticker of this on the pole. And there was already one there that he didn't put up that somebody else did. So something that's really unique. And this image is a stylized version of the face that is on this sticker. So you can see this Andre the Giant has a posse. This is the original sticker that he was distributing, and you could see how the stylized image of the face from that original. Anyway, so something to think about. That's a picture that became an image that became his logo. But for our purposes today, I'm going to start talking about the creation of your stickers. So we'll start with a "Hello, my name is" sticker, and I'm going to put that over here. And I'm going to move slightly out of camera so you can see. What I love about the "Hello, my name is" stickers, and why a lot of graffiti writers and street artists use them, is because they introduce you as the artist to the community. So they have these borders, they have the top and the bottom that kind of frame whatever art you're going to put in here. And it also has that "Hello, my name" printed. So it's almost like a fun introduction, right? Hello, my name is X. If anybody in the chat wants to give me a name or something to write, you know, that's what I can do on the stickers, at least for today. And then we can get started. And I'm going to reach across and grab a pencil. Just give 1 second. And eventually I'll find out how to get closer to this as well. So imagine, the "Hello, my name is" sticker. Let's see, I'm going to grab a piece of marker. And I'll make a reproduction of it. So you've got your sticker here. You've got the red line on the bottom. You've got the red line on top. And then the "Hello, my name" is here. So just to show you. So now this is almost like the prep, right? So before I even do on the sticker, for my purposes today in class, I'm just going to use this as the template. So you've got all of this space. So you could fill that in with a character. You could fill that in with lettering. You could do whatever you would like to do. All right, Hope Jefferson. I'll write Hope because I think that's a great, I could write my cat's name too, Lemon. Yeah, but I'll start with Hope and then I'll do another. So Hope, what I like about that is you could make a character, could represent the name Hope. You could write the name Hope. For our purposes, I will grab a marker from the drawer over here, and I'm going to do it in the style that I would do it. So imagine this is the sticker. There's a couple different ways that you could do this. There are the tag, right? So if you're thinking about what it would look like on the sticker, introducing yourself to the world, it could be something like, right? Or if you're doing something more calligraphy, and this is with a chisel tip marker, let me move over so I can do this correct. It could be something like, all right, let's get the camera. Okay, perfect. This. And again, the great thing about stickers is that you can really take your time. You're at home. And this is all prepped for then what I would actually do on the sticker itself. Good thing about stickers is that they come in all different shapes and sizes. So this could even be a sticker. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Just gonna adjust the camera here. Okay. Hold on for 1 second. Sorry. I'm having trouble unmuting. Give me 1 second while I adjust. Just give me 1 second while I mute some technical difficulties. Hopefully the sound is better. Just an example. And then I can throw some embellishments on here. right? Now thinking about that, or what that might look like after practicing, we could do it on the labels themselves. So I've got another marker here, and it might be a little hard to see as I'm over here, but let's give this a shot. There you go. Might be. So now imagine you've introduced yourself, right? You've used the hello, my name is label. You've chosen a color that contrasts with the red and the white. And then you would peel this. Instead of putting it on your, shirt at a function where you're introducing yourself to somebody, you just take the sticker, put it on, and you walk away. So that is now on a bus stop. It's now on, a stop sign, whatever it might be. And you can embellish it. Sometimes I'll even do some splatters to make it look a little bit more, quote unquote street. Something like that. I do see a comment. Would you say street art is a form of calligraphy? So yes and no. So calligraphy is the art of, writing letters. So I do think there is calligraphy in tagging. Graffiti is more typography. You're kind of like building the structures of the letters. There's a little bit of nuance there. And then obviously some street artists and graffiti writers don't use letters. They use images. So thinking about that hello, my name is example, right? So this one here, let's say Hope didn't want to do lettering. They wanted to do, an image. When I think of Hope, I think of, let's see, maybe like a sun, right? Or something along those lines. So for me, if you're gonna, and once again, a character might be something that you take a long time to develop, or that you, draw for, long amounts of time. But I think almost like of a sun or something along those lines, or some kind of like happy face, right? Hope, hopeful, warm, bright. So thinking through your character that could then live on a sticker and you could put out there very easily. Maybe it does, have kind of like a round shape. And once again, I'm doing this off the top of my head. So if this is poorly done or not very good, forgive me. I'm thinking maybe some like rays of sun coming out. Let's see. And then I would find a marker. And if this is the bottom of the sticker, let's see. And then maybe, I don't know. Something like this, get them some cool sunglasses, right? And then a smirk. Yeah, maybe that could be your graffiti logo. I don't know. Just trying to think outside the box here. You maybe throw some clouds off to the side. That could be your graffiti character. So just something really quick. Trying to think through. Maybe throw the shades behind the ear so you can kind of see it over there. And then imagine that on the sticker, right? So the sticker could have your little logo. Let's see if I do this under a couple minutes. Doop, doop. I'm going very quick, so forgive me if this is done. I'm actually pretty happy that I could think of a character this quickly. But put the sunrise, fill that out. And then maybe you could do something like, let's see. The pink won't look great on the background here. Here's some 3D. Anyway, so that could be an example of a character that you could do on a sticker. You know, hello, my name is Hope, right there. So we've got about 5 minutes left. I'll pivot back to viewing me instead of the paper. Very quick to street art and graffiti and terms that we're going to be talking about in class. But I do want to ask all of you who have joined today, before the next class, think about your nickname. Think about the name that you want to bring to class each week, that you want to be going as. I will come up with a nickname to use for this class as well, my graffiti name, my street art name. And then throughout the class over the next couple of weeks, we can draw those names. We can think about characters that go with them. You can think about how what you're drawing will fit onto a Hello, My Name Is sticker or onto a US Postal Service sticker or something along those lines. So with that, we have a couple minutes left. I do want to open it up to any questions in the chat. Thank you all for joining so much. Once again, my name is Max Gibbons. My cat is joining me on the call now. Try to make sure she doesn't walk on the on the keyboard. But I really appreciate everybody joining in. These classes will be hosted from 5:15 to 6:15 every Wednesday. Hope, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad that I could show you a little bit about this artwork and this art form. Like anything, as I was saying, it takes a lot of time to come up with these names sometimes or come up with the character. So if you do have something, bring it to class. I'd love to see it. And remember to take pictures of your work and send them to the email address that we'll be providing. So we're putting that on the bottom here. So if you were following along today, if you're drawing on a piece of paper, feel free to send it to the email address that is scrolling across the bottom. Every week, if you don't have stickers, that's totally fine. You can always draw on a piece of paper. And again, you can use any material. You can use a pen, you could use pencil, you could use markers. It does not have to be fancy, paint markers or anything like that. You can use any mark making material that can create a mark on paper. I did see Andy say, learned a lot. Thanks. Happy to answer any questions as always. I love all of this stuff. Stickers are such a cool art form, or at least a medium for your art. I've seen a lot of people use them in very different ways, whether it's just putting words and sayings on them and then putting them in different areas and in different color schemes. It's from the same artist. Again, some artists who have a character, and then some artists that do, just lettering, like their graffiti lettering on there as well. Love seeing the participation in the chat, so thanks again for that. And we do have a couple more minutes. We got about 1.5 minutes left for the time that we have today. So with that, I will share some examples of what we'll be talking about next week. Specifically, we'll be talking about the use of these and the history of the use of, these US postal labels. So these are the new 2016 model. You can go to any post office and get these. And that's our topic for next week. We'll be talking about artwork specifically on these. All right, thanks for joining, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
My name is Federico. I go by Maspas. I am an artist. So I moved to New York in 2006, and that's really when I started getting into the graffiti world. And I worked at this graffiti gallery. I met a bunch of graffiti artists, and I was doing graffiti on clothes. And before that, I was selling T-shirts in the street. And just starting to do this graffiti on clothes, it really kind of get me more into the graffiti scene, of course. And I started going out painting with a bunch of homies up there in New York. When I came here, I had just been in Brazil, and I started kind of playing around with different kind of typography, not just using graffiti letters. I took inspiration from like Mayan and indigenous cultures and like hieroglyphics, and started kind of like coming up with just kind of like a different kind of font structure of a letter that kind of looked kind of like it was like kind of pichação, like the Brazilian graffiti. Kind of was like a pichação, but then it's kind of like straight kind of font. So instead of doing graffiti, I was like, let me just try to do something different. So I started using like brushes and rollers to like do these kind of like indigenous letter styles. And then from that, I was kind of like, can I do something with my letter style? But like instead, like, can I tell a story, like a visual story through illustration? But I'm not trying to paint like a portrait. I'm not really trying to paint anything like really realistic. I was like, I've dabbled in that area, but I was like, why don't I take this kind of Mayan and Incan indigenous style and kind of bring it to life through me, you know, and put that up on the wall. Yeah, I think to get down to the bottom of it, like, what do I think about public art? I feel like public art is art that is free for the community, you know? Art that you don't have to get on a bus and go, or on an airplane or anywhere. The art is there in your community. And there you're able to interact with your community as you're painting. The community can talk with you as you're painting. You're not just some artist that gets flown in from who knows where, comes and paints a piece like overnight and just bounces and just like gets a fat paycheck and just like leaves and paints over some mural that like was very important. Like, that is the opposite of what real community art is. That's the opposite, you know? I think it's about interacting with your community, making artwork that reflects the community, being present there, like talking to the community as you're making the artwork. That's the most important. And bottom line, it's free. It's free, and you're making something that the community will appreciate. And like, I'm talking about like little kids, like little baby in a stroller, they'll look up at it and be like, yo, what's going on? Or like even grandma walking by, like, wow, thank you, I like that. You know, making something that's like accessible for everybody and appreciated by everybody. So painting the train this is the first train I think I've ever painted. One of the big plastic trains. Kind of brought me back to the roots and creating something for WBL. Was really cool. It's just like being here and sharing. It's just like, this is more of like a community project, so it's nice to kind of like see friendly faces again. And you know, looking forward to like seeing what's next and where I can see my piece, and like yeah, I'm excited to see it online or in a gallery.